are going to get out of there as fast as possible. Alex, Jamie. Jamie! We're told you have a maximum of 10 minutes to carry out a rocket attack like this one. Take any longer on the Donbass front line and you're likely dead. What you're about to see took place over 4 days in September around the Donbass city of Pokrovsk. You've probably never heard of Pokrovsk, but if the Russians take it, you will. The capture of the fortress city could help decide the future of Europe. The area is already the scene of intense fighting and the target for glide bomb attacks, like the one we're about to witness. Public buildings lie in ruins, but not every Ukrainian who remains in the hot zone has lost their cool.
This is just insane.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. You're about to watch how Ukraine's resistance in the Donbass unfold. In particular, one mission carried out by a special unit in the defense of Pokrovsk. The target will be a concentration of Russian troops and vehicles preparing to advance on the city. The challenge is twofold: to hit them hard and escape to fight another day. The tactic required is known as shoot and scoot. You'll see why. Speed is the key to survival. Male frontline cameraman Jamie Wiseman and I witnessed the operation, from its preparation through final practice to nerve-shredding execution. This is what we saw. Another beautiful day in the Donbass. The sun is shining and the sky is blue, which means both the pollen count and the drone threat will be high. We also see the contrails of a Russian jet as it launches a huge glide bomb and turns for home. Today we'll accompany the attack unit as they undertake a reconnaissance of the Pokrovsk sector. Because of recent Russian advances, we cannot drive by the most direct roads. Much of the way we don't even travel by road at all. To counter the high drone threat, the military truck leading our convoy is equipped with an electronic warfare system that interferes with the radio signals of enemy drones. We're told our car must follow no more than 100 meters behind to benefit from its protective umbrella. Well, we're driving at some speed across a field. We're having to do this because we're going to the small town of Kurokov, where the Russians are very close, and the only way to get there in any kind of safety, and I wouldn't call this particularly safe, is to take these, go cross-country down these military tracks. We're in a convoy with a Ukrainian military car which has got a lot of electronic warfare jamming, drone jamming equipment on it. Hopefully that will be some kind of protection situation, since we last went to Kurokov in January, when it was already being shelled, has worsened considerably. The Russians are literally just down the road from it and are pushing to take the town. We'll see what the situation is shortly. Okay. We pull over under the cover of a small wood to prepare for the final run-in. But drones aren't the only danger today. As we rejoin a tarmac road from a forest track, we almost get taken out by a speeding Lada. Here, the highway code no longer applies. There are other surprises ahead. In a village close to the Kurokova front, we find ourselves stuck not behind a tank but a tractor. Agriculture is Ukraine's biggest export industry. The farmers have to keep working very close to the front lines. But what we see next is something else again. Two workmen, one wearing a yellow high-visibility jacket, are painting markings on a road. This within artillery and kamikaze drone range of the front line.
Is that Defiance or this is the road?
Budget spending. Jamie, pull up, please. Speed up a bit.
Now we're on a road that runs directly into Kurokova. Occupied Donetsk city lies beyond. The only traffic on this exposed highway is military. We reach the outskirts of Kurokova. When we were here last, in January, there was snow on the ground and Russian rocket artillery hitting the edge of town. The only civilian seen on the streets was a drunk trying to direct military traffic. Since then, the Russians have advanced to within mortar range. Fighting is heavy on the outskirts. This is the 33rd Brigade in desperate defense outside Kurakova. Kurakova's main shopping street has been destroyed since our last visit. And this was once Kurakova's only surviving cafe, where we sat and drank chai, served by brave old ladies. Now it's shuttered. Once again we see only a single civilian, a woman with a shopping bag, hurrying. Like her, we can't linger.
So we're driving through the center of Kurakova. We visited this town, which is southwest of Donetsk city, in the depths of winter in January, when it was under rocket artillery fire. Then it was full of dread. There were very few civilians left, but most of the center was intact. We saw, one of the things we saw then that struck me was a huge mural on a fishing shop, which quoted the British author Neil Gaiman and said something along the lines of, after a day's fishing, what I take home is my peace of mind. It struck me as being extremely ironic. Now we've returned. The Russian war machine has marched further down the road and is now within mortar range of the center. There's a lot more damage, and frankly, Kurakov feels doomed. It's in a very bad place.
We leave Kurakova on the next leg of the reconnaissance patrol. This will take us north to the district centre, Pokrovsk. Once again we pass the heroic, possibly lunatic road painters.
This is just insane.
They're not alone in their defiance. Not far out of Kurakova, we stop at a roadside coffee shop.
Frontline coffee shop. This place is very close to the Frontline. It's still open, and it's still serving cappuccino.
A young woman is serving a cappuccino within range of Russian artillery. The endurance of ordinary Ukrainians is always impressive. Pokrovsk city is the transport hub that supplies Ukraine's military on the Donbass front line. Local miners also produce the coking coal for what is left of the country's vital steel industry. Which is why Pokrovsk is a strategic target and the most important sector in the whole 1,000-mile front line. The Russians have advanced to within 5 miles of the eastern suburbs. The city is now threatened with direct assault, or more likely, encirclement and siege. The last evacuation train has left. Only a few thousand residents remain. The civilian curfew runs for 19 hours, from 3 p.m. to 11 a.m. We're also warned that Russian kamikaze drones are now operating along one of Pokrovsk's central boulevards. In fact, this shop name seems to sum up the entire situation here.
Okay, let's do this quickly.
The ground war is audibly closer. Central Pokrovsk is already badly scarred. Worse will surely follow.
This, as you can see, used to be Corleone's Pizzeria. I always thought it was a rather macabre and strange name for a restaurant in the middle of a war zone, but it's where we used to meet until last year when Corleone's was hit by a missile. There's a hotel above it, which might have been the target, but it was one of the few meeting places left in Pokrovsk at the time. It used to have a Thompson submachine gun in you can hear the artillery, a Thompson submachine gun in a glass case, and it was celebrating all things Italian mafia. Now it's just a wreck. The town is very eerie.
This used to be in Pokrovsk's main hotel, until it was hit by Russian missiles. This should be the bustling main square. Instead, it's almost deserted. We approach 2 women who are closing one of the few remaining businesses still open here.
Збираєтесь справді чи
Звісно.
потяги вже не ходять в цілі, так? А я так бачу, люди не сильно комендантську дотримуються.
Дотримуються. Просто закрили, зараз йдемо домой.
Ну, поліція більш-менш лояльна, так? Ну, з
Ну, из-за
розумінням
того, что мы же до 3
ставиться.
часов работаем, конечно, надо же посчитаться, закрыться, а потом идем домой, да.
Russia is tightening its grip on the city. It wants to isolate Pokrovsk from central Ukraine, so it's destroying the bridges that link them.
Okay, well this is a road bridge on the edge of Pokrovsk, which carries the main Pokrovsk to Dnipro road. It's a very important logistical route for the Ukrainian armed forces. And 2 weeks ago, it was hit by maybe three Russian missiles, and has been effectively put out of action. You can see the traffic moving very slowly across the railway line there. But this was the main highway, and it is now damaged, not beyond repair, but it will take a long time to fix. And of course the Russians are at the moment trying to encircle this city, so it's very bad news for the Ukrainian defenders.
A week later, a second important bridge, linking Pokrovsk to Kramatorsk and Kharkiv, was hit and completely collapsed. While we're at the second bridge, Russian artillery can be heard hitting a nearby industrial district.
And this bridge you can see behind me, which is the main road to Kostyunivka, was hit about a week ago. There was one strike that went through the top road there, where the whole central span was collapsed almost on the road which goes up to Dobrobylia. So the Russians have, I guess they have succeeded in cutting the logistics road route into Pokrovsk from 2 different directions.
And as we leave, the sound of a huge explosion comes from northeast of us. Followed by a growing column of smoke. The attacks on the district are intensifying. But Ukraine is also about to strike back. An oak wood on the edge of a sunflower field, somewhere in Donbass. In more peaceful times, this would be a delightful early autumn day. But the war is all around us. A trio of Ukrainian helicopters fly past the position at very low level to avoid Russian air defences. Meanwhile, the beeps you hear are from the unit's drone detector. It's warning that a Russian Lancet kamikaze drone is hunting targets somewhere nearby. There are still 2 days to go before the planned rocket attack. The weapons platform for that attack will be this Mitsubishi pickup truck. It's been adapted in the unit's workshop to carry a scaled-down Grad launcher. Grad means hailstones in Ukrainian and Russian. It's a multiple 122mm rocket launcher system, developed by the Soviet Union in the early 1960s, and normally mounted on a heavy truck. As the name suggests, the rockets are unguided. They're not usually associated with precision. Instead, they're launched in large clusters to saturate an area with high explosive, like a hailstorm from hell. Each Grad truck carries 40 tubes. A Grad battalion can fire 720 rockets in a single volley. In contrast, the Ukrainian unit's special Mitsubishi pickup can fire a maximum of 4 rockets without reloading. There are other challenges. A standard Grad is a relatively short-range missile, which, in this war, means it will be launched within reach of immediate retaliation from both longer-range attack drones and heavy artillery. You might wonder how this setup could be effective, but they are. Intercepts of radio traffic after recent strikes by the unit suggest the Russians believed HIMARS, Storm Shadow, or other state-of-the-art guided missiles were involved. The unit achieves that kind of accuracy by using bespoke rockets and modern targeting and communications technology, as well as the speed that their training and the nimble Mitsubishi allows them. Which is why they're practicing so hard in the shelter of this wood.
Every second counts. They're practicing with a stopwatch, and they're trying to shave seconds, not minutes, off the time it takes for them to reach a position, fire the shots accurately, and then leave again. because where they're working, there's a massive Russian drone threat, and they're also well within range of heavy artillery and counter-battery fire. So, as I said, every second counts. You can see the crew recalibrating the tubes, the firing tubes. After every 12 shots, Grad rocket shots, they need to be realigned to, if they're to achieve maximum accuracy on their next fire mission.
Lieutenant Oleg gives the signal to start.
Да.
The final practice launch before the operation has begun.
Все вперед! Вперед полметра! Вперед полметра! Оп! Готов!
The stabilizers are being deployed. They help keep the platform steady during launches. Now the launcher is raised to something close to its firing attitude.
Уровень, смотри. Мы по кругу.
Стоп. Есть.
Есть?
Троишь гору. Гору чуть-чуть еще. Каплю. О, блин, много. Назад. Много назад.
Aiming adjustments begin.
По-тихому, давай, повели. Давай, еще. Не идет. Давай. Стоп, по-тихому. Вперед. Гору трошки. Еще. Гору трошки. Еще. Оп, стоп. Каплю.
This is only a practice, but the men take it deadly seriously. They must do. Tiny alterations now, which will make the difference between a hit and a miss.
Серый есть!
Е! 49-25!
Давай влево. Еще. Стоп! Фиксируй. Плюс!
Подайся!
This is the soldier who will fire the rockets. You can see the cable which connects his trigger box to the launcher.
Есть!
Приціл 470.
Давай. Вот так, еще веселее. Давай. Веселее. Еще не идет. Оп, стоп. На водяну!
The crew run to cover. The first firing sequence is about to begin. An imaginary sighting rocket has been fired.
Живлення, дозарядка!
A soldier runs to the cab and pretends to switch off the electrical power for the launch ignition. The crew reloads the tube that was just fired.
Есть!
Now they make adjustments, according to instructions from the imaginary drone operator, who is watching the impact of their imaginary sighting rocket.
Плюс!
39,83. Приціл той самий.
39-83! Веселее! Стоп! Теперь влево! По-тихому! Есть! На водяно!
Живлення!
The electrical power for the launcher is switched on again.
Даю живлення! Живлення є!
Залп 4 ракети! Проміжок 2 секунди! Постріл! Ба!
Постріл!
Ба!
Постріл!
Ба!
Постріл!
Ба! Складаємо! Живлення!
Живлення вимкнути!
Ручку! Есть! Держать машину! Восемь минут!
A According to the stopwatch, the practice launch took 8 minutes and 1 second. Oleg is not happy. With only one ranging shot fired before the volley, that's simply too slow. Fatally slow.
You're trying to, you would ideally be quicker.
Тобто в ідеалі це було б 6 хвилин. Yes, ideally it would be 6. 6 or 7, something like that.
Okay. So just, I mean, the underlying message that here is that every second counts.
Yes.
This is what happened when the Russians caught them at the launch site during an earlier operation. A Russian 152mm howitzer shell from counter-battery fire landed 33 meters from the unit's position. Even from that distance, a large piece of shrapnel went straight through the unarmored door of one of the unit's pickups. There was a second narrow shave, this time due to technical failure.
So there was a case in Kharkiv, in Kharkiv Oblast, when they were working 4 kilometers away from the front line, literally. They shoot 2 adjustment shots, and then the drone operator said them that I have to go to recharge the battery. I mean, the drone operator was not from the unit. So they had to wait for 26 minutes.
Wow.
So they spread around the forest, like they hidden. But luckily, everything was fine. They were not noticed or spotted.
Okay, that sounds terrifying.
Ну, ви допрацювали тоді?
Да, працювали.
But they finished the combat mission.
It's like in Britain, it's like the drone operator's like, oh, I've got to go for a cup of tea now, so I'll just...
When the operation is carried out for real, under the threat of Russian drones and artillery, there'll be no primer stove, no stopwatch, and no time for an on-site post-mortem. This feels like a scene from a Mad Max film. In fact, we're in a convoy in the Donbass frontline, going very fast across country. No one wants to be last, it seems. The van wasn't designed to carry high explosives on dirt tracks at this speed. In the pickup, passengers and assault rifles are tumbled about. Slow feels dangerous under these Russian drone-filled skies. Speed is everything, but it also creates clouds of telltale dust. The faster you drive, the more dust is kicked up, and the more dust you create, the easier you are to spot. What you're watching is the climactic hour of a Ukrainian army mission in the defense of Pokrovsk, the Donbass logistics hub that Russia is trying to take. Now the final countdown has begun. The rockets will be taken to a position near the front line and fired at their target. That's if the Russians don't find and hit the launchers first. A workshop in a village close to besieged Pokrovsk. The unit has come here to collect the hand-prepared rockets that will be used in tomorrow's strike. With a shortage of Western-donated precision weapons, Ukrainian ingenuity has to fill the gaps. Some of the Grad rockets were captured from Russian stocks. They'll now be fired back at their previous owners. The countries where these captured weapons were originally manufactured shows how this war has become a global conflict.
We're in a secret rocket manufacturing plant near Pokrovsk. This is the place which produces the ammunition for the special unit in their pinpoint Grad attacks against Russian positions. What's really interesting about what we're seeing here is that most of the ammunition that they're using, most of these Grad rockets you can see, are actual trophies from the battlefield. They've been taken from Russian forces during the war, but maybe more interesting than that is where they originated from. Now, what we can see in front of me here, these two with the black warheads, these are from North Korea. This one with the red stripe is from Russia. Others are kind of post-Soviet countries. These brown sections here are what would contain the gunpowder. But behind me, there are other stocks of Grad missiles piled up, and they come from Pakistan, Iran, Iraq, and a number of other post-Soviet countries. All have been captured by the Ukrainians since the full-scale invasion, are now being repurposed and used against the Russians. The Grad that you can see here is a newly manufactured Ukrainian rocket, which has been supplied to the unit. The others beneath it, though, were originally made in Pakistan and ended up maybe through a third party with the Russian forces and have been captured by the Ukrainians and again will be used against the Russians.
Each rocket is marked with its own weight. Its flight path is then predicted using ballistic calculator software. Before they're used by the Ukrainian army, all the captured missiles are disassembled, then put back together by hand to increase accuracy and reliability. Each constituent part, each grain of gunpowder, is carefully measured to achieve uniformity and best performance. This is all about marginal gains.
What you can see here are two different kinds of grad detonators. This one is an airburst detonator, which means that it's designed to explode in the air, scattering shrapnel over a wide area. The other one is an impact detonator, so the grad will explode when it hits something hard.
Like the stopwatch used at launch practice, it could make the difference between success and failure, life and death. D-Day. The attack has been given the green light. It'll take place this afternoon. We're in a small convoy of military vehicles. The all-important grad launcher is concealed under camouflage netting. The pickup is equipped with a drone jamming system. If the convoy has to halt, it'll do so under cover. It's a prime target for any Russian attack drone. We reach the final staging post, a small clearing near the edge of a wood. The van carrying the grad rockets is waiting for us. The camo net comes off the launcher. The men can start loading the rocket tubes. But there is a personal touch before they do. One of the soldiers paints the name of a comrade who was killed fighting in this sector. The rocket will be a present for the Russians, in his memory, they say. In the background, you can hear the unit's drone alarm. A Russian drone is operating somewhere in the area.
From Rafal, it's a name, from Rafal, for Vasil Borchenko.
Okay, so we're on the edge of a wood, very close to the Pokrovsk front line. Pokrovsk is the town that the Russians are pushing to capture, and the fighting along this sector of the front is probably more fierce than anywhere along the 1,000-mile front line. Now we're with a special unit of the Ukrainian armed forces who are preparing to launch a precision rocket strike against a Russian position. They've just been loading the four rockets onto the back of this specially adapted pickup, and very soon we'll be moving to a position where they will be launching.
We're told the unit will first fire 2 ranging rockets at the target. Their accuracy will be monitored by a reconnaissance drone. After any corrections have been made, a volley of 4 rockets will then complete the mission. Weather conditions will play a large part in the operation today, offensively and defensively. The unit has measured that the wind is now gusting at 20 meters per second. Drones struggle when the wind speed is more than 10 meters per second. That means the current threat from Russian kamikazes is low. But it also means the accuracy of the Ukrainian rocket attack could be affected.
It's quite a blustery day, so the drone threat is not high, but they're very nervous about attracting enemy attention. We can hear the heavy artillery in the background. It's all quite tense.
The attack will still go ahead, but the unit hopes that once in position, the wind speed will have dropped. A pack of stray dogs chase us as we leave for the launch site. We hope it's the only hostile attention we'll attract. The final journey is a crazy cross-country dash. The unit drives towards the launch position as fast as possible.
There's a kind of Mad Max quality to it. Billowing dust. The sun, it even looks a little like there's rock over there, slowly.
The last stretch takes us across the middle of what feels like the biggest and most exposed field in Ukraine. We arrive at the launch site. It's in a tree line between a field and a low ridge. The vehicles disperse under cover. The final preparation can begin. The 4 grad tubes are loaded and ready to go. This rocket will be the first reload. The van it was carried in once carried groceries. It's laid on the ground alongside the other reload missile. The soldier in charge of the Starlink satellite set that will connect the unit to the spotting drone is also in position. The stabilizers that will keep the launcher steady during firing are wound into place. The sun is sinking behind the tree line as the squad goes to work. The truck isn't quite yet in the position to launch, and you can see from the foliage that the wind speed has, if anything, increased. As we were told in final practice, the entire operation cannot take more than 10 minutes. Each second over could mean life or death for everyone involved. The launcher needs to be moved forward a few meters, out of the cover of the trees. In the field behind us, a member of the unit is using a directional aid called an aiming circle. He's had to take off all magnetic objects to avoid skewing his compass. These trees still provide good cover from the west, but one of the branches on the eastern side is in the line of fire of the rockets and will need to be removed. As we wait for the wind to drop, Igor, the deputy commander, shows me pictures of his family, who are refugees in England.
We're seconds or minutes away from launch now. They spent 5 minutes carefully adjusting, and they're almost ready to go.
The wind has begun to drop. It's now or never. The launch will begin with the first ranging rocket to establish accuracy on the target.
Ракета номер 3! Пострел!
Its noise is astounding. The empty tube is reloaded for the second ranging shot. The grad will take less than a minute to impact on Russian lines. The Russians will take only a few seconds more to begin to hunt for the launcher.
Плюс! Может, 2 кинем, Олег? Давай одну! Одну, плюс! Съебал! Рагнарок! Ракета номер 3! Пострел!
There goes the second ranging rocket. The Ukrainian drone unit will be watching its fall and sending corrections.
Okay, the unit has now fired 2 ranging rockets, and I think they're about to fire a volley, and then we are gonna get out of there as fast as possible. Very, very noisy.
Подвались на ту же точку! Кидаем! Не забуду! Живоня! Рагнарок! Ракети номер 1, 2, 3, 4! Проміжок 2 секунди! Командир, йдемо на русь. Постріл! Постріл!
The amount of dust kicked up by the backblast is terrific. It can be seen for miles. We can't hang around. To do so would be death. The escape begins. Ours is not a cool withdrawal. It's chaotic, verging on panic-stricken.
Alex, Jamie.
Jamie! Where the is the GoPro gone? Sake! There we go.
driver punches the air in triumph. The launcher is the first to leave.
I'm coming. Go. Ми за цим. Він в багажнику. Ми за лікою.
Okay, well that was, we're not out of the woods yet, but that's very intense. They fired 2 sighting rockets and then a volley of 4, kicking up huge clouds of dust in the sunset. Seems like we've packed up and are scooting in inside 2 minutes easily, I think. But there's a very understandable desire to get out of the away from the firing site, because they will almost certainly attract counter battery fire. It's very dry. It's been warm this last week, and we are kicking up a lot of dust as we cross these black earth fields. Now is not the time to miss a gear. Oleg, who's the unit leader, is in the back of the pickup. Igor, his colleague, is driving, and I'm here with Jamie and Alexander, our translator and second cameraman, in the back of the vehicle as we're making good our escape. Somebody is heading in the other direction, which I don't think is a very wise thing at this particular moment. Okay, what?
Gear.
We make it safely back to the rendezvous point in the clearing, where the rockets were first loaded into the launcher. The camo net is put back onto the launcher.
So we're back in the forest after the few minutes after the fire mission, and Oleg has got some preliminary results from drone footage. Oleg, what are you seeing on the drone footage? Were you successful in your fire mission?
Так, є скупчення легкоброньованої ворожої техніки.
What? Yes, I can see.
І от. Зараз додатково нам скинуть скрини і вже на базі вже подивимося.
We will take a look at the base.
A more detailed
A
look
more
later.
detailed report.
Візьмемо попкорн і будемо дивитися.
We'll take popcorn and take a look.
The drone unit assisting this operation was from another brigade, and we haven't been able to access all the footage. This first clip shows the 2 ranging rockets bracketing the target in a village near Pokrovsk. This video shows a successful grad attack by the same unit in the same week at a different location. Since we made these 2 films in the autumn, the Russian advance on the Pokrovsk front has been relentless. The Russians are now only 2 kilometers from the edge of Pokrovsk city, within mortar range. Pokrovsk has been the main logistics hub for the Ukraine defense of the Donbass. If it falls, then that defense will be severely, if not fatally, compromised. Meanwhile, to the south, the Russians have actually reached the center of Korokovo. The fishing mural we saw at the junction of Victory Street and the main Donetsk road is the latest high-water mark of their push, according to the deep state map. I doubt it's still intact. And I doubt if I shall ever see Korokovo or Pokrovsk again. The Russian intention is to capture the whole of Donbass this winter.
Да!
They're unlikely to hand it back during the peace talks that have been mooted for 2025. By then, Donald Trump will be back in the White House. An admirer of Putin, he has been a vocal critic of continued US support for the Ukrainian war effort. He's even claimed he will end the war within 24 hours of his inauguration. Ukraine holds its breath to see what he will do, because the Russians will not pause. After Donbass, their focus will likely switch to Zaporizhia. The fighting there is already intensifying. That could be the next combat sector for the Special Rocket Unit, as they rush from crisis to crisis, trying to plug the gaps. Meanwhile, the battle inside Pokrovsk city is about to begin.